Ever since the war arc where the Edo Tensei jutsu was spammed to death, we've been given contradictory information about the power of the Edo Tensei. The biggest example of this is with Madara, since Kabuto early on said Edo Madara was stronger than he was in his prime, but later on Hashirama implies Madara's prime power surpasses his Edo powers by a lot. So with this contradictory information being out, there's been a bunch of arguments over the years to try to make sense of this, and in this video I'm going to give my thoughts on this and try to answer the question of if the Edo Tensei actually makes you weaker, or do you actually get stronger from it? So the main argument you have to go over when discussing this topic is the Tobirama statement we get when he's brought back to life for the second time. He tells Orochimaru that the Edo Tensei has been improved since last time, and that he's near his full power. People usually use this statement to support the idea that the Edo Tensei are weaker than their alive counterparts, but I definitely have a problem with this argument. In order for this argument to work, everyone's Edo Tensei must be at the same level, but that's not really true. It's stated by Kabuto that his Edo Tensei surpassed both Tobirama's and Orochimaru's. This is important because most statements claiming the Edo Tensei doesn't restore you at your full power are based on Orochimaru's Edo Tensei. But that shouldn't apply to Kabuto since his is better. Now I have heard the argument that Orochimaru's Edo Tensei would rival Kabuto's or even surpass it, because some people take this statement from Orochimaru that says he learned while inside Kabuto as meaning he could see everything Kabuto saw and would have also learned the better version of Edo Tensei that Kabuto had. I disagree with this idea though, since Orochimaru could have just been sensing what's going on instead of literally seeing everything, or Orochimaru could have just been thinking to himself the whole time. It's possible this statement does mean that he saw everything, but there's no real objective evidence to prove that interpretation, and since other interpretations are just as valid, that Orochimaru statement is kinda just too vague to use. Another point people bring up, and I touched on earlier, is Madara apparently regaining his past strength late in the war arc, despite being Edo Tensei'd by Kabuto. At first glance, it kinda does seem like a case closed type of statement, but people don't really seem to consider the fact that Madara wasn't fighting seriously in his Edo Tensei form at all. He says he was fighting defensively the whole time, and we know fighting defensively means you're not using your full power. An example that comes to mind that supports this is during the Final Valley when Naruto was initially fighting defensively, and Sasuke even says that will eventually lead to his death, since fighting defensively means you're not fighting at your full power. We also know when Madara is able to regenerate, he tends to play around with the people he's fighting. Since he was in Edo, he probably wasn't taking his Edo fights seriously, on top of fighting defensively a lot, which would just mean that Madara was realistically only using a small fraction of his total Edo power. So when Hashirama says he's regaining his past power, he would only think that because Madara wasn't using his full power at all during the fight. With this in mind, you can't really scale his Edo forms based on his feats alone, and you have to include his overall lore. So now that I've gone over the common arguments for the Edo Tensei making you weaker, I'm going to explain why I believe the Edo Tensei make you stronger, or at least Kabuto's Edo Tensei. The first point I want to bring up is Jutsu Arsenal. Both Hashirama and Tobirama brought up how their jutsu were less effective and how they couldn't do as much as they would be able to in their prime. We also see that both of them don't use their super powerful jutsu that would have made a huge difference, like Hashirama not using his 1,000-arm Buddha, which literally dwarfed over the full Nine Tails. Compare that to Itachi, Nagato, and other of Kabuto's Edo Tensei, who was able to show off all of their past abilities while in their Edo form, and that should tell you that Orochimaru's Edo Tensei were a lot more limited than Kabuto's Edo Tensei. Besides Kabuto's Edo Tensei showing off more of their abilities, they also have some statements too that support their ideas. The first one is the statement from Inoki that says Mu's magnet style is just as powerful as ever. This doesn't directly confirm that Kabuto's Edo Tensei are stronger, but it should definitely contradict the idea that the Edo Tensei are weaker than their prime selves. There's also this statement from the anime that claims the Sound 4 are stronger than when they were alive. Yes, this is anime only, but I still do think the lore does count. So yeah, with that being said, I'm going to wrap up the video here. I believe Kabuto's Edo Tensei are generally the same strength or superior to their alive selves, while Orochimaru's and Tobirama's Edo Tensei would make you weaker. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like it and subscribe to see more of them. Thanks for watching.